Alright, hey guys, Justin here. We got a little bonus feature for you today. A small little project we've been working on over the weekend, getting some concrete formed up, getting ready to install our generator over here, and we're going to have a new big propane tank over here. So getting ready for summer, lots of power outages to worry about around these parts, and so we're getting a generator installed, and today's video is about the prep work on the concrete. We used the steel studs, or cold formed steel studs. We had some spare leftovers from the pump house project, so rather than go buy a bunch of wood, which is pretty expensive right now, decided to use some of these leftovers to form this up. So let's get a little bit closer, and I'll show you some of the details of how we formed this. I'm Justin.
And I'm Sharon.
Over the last couple years, we've been working hard on cleaning up our brushy, overgrown property in the Sierra foothills, while at the same time excavating, breaking rocks, and clearing a building pad. Now, we've started laying out and planning our dream home. So stay tuned, follow our progress as we share all the details from our ultimate DIY project. Alright, here we are with a close-up view of our generator pad. This pad is about 4 feet by 8 feet for the generator over here. That leaves a little perimeter around the outside of the generator. We've got our 2 conduits stubbed up. Those will go inside the generator housing. Again, we can talk more about generators on the next video, maybe another bonus video once the generator is installed. For now, we're talking about these concrete forms using steel studs. So you can see we're on this slope. There's about 6 inches of drop across that 4-foot width. So on the uphill side, we've got a 6-inch stud that is sticking up about 6 inches above the dirt, and then we got a double height on the sides and on the bottom, so that we make up that 6 inches and stay level across the top. In the bottom, there is a little bit of a kind of a small trenched little footing, so it's got a bit of a saddle shape in the bottom to just kind of help it hold on the slope, so we can be sure it's not going to go anywhere. Overall, using these steel studs for concrete forming seemed to work pretty well. It was kind of new for us. There's a lot of kind of similarities that I guess we got used to using steel studs in general for the pump house. Obviously there's some differences with wood, with kind of some techniques on how you got to get them to come together. You can see in this corner, had to use some brackets to get the corners to hold together. Obviously it's a little different from wood. You don't have to have these L pieces where they meet at a right angle, but we had a lot of those spares around as well. On the profile of the stud itself, so these stud sections, this part is the web. It's 6 inches high. This is the flange. It's 1 5/8 inches, I believe, across here. They make all different sizes of these. Obviously, you can get much bigger than 6 inches. These flanges can be 2.5 inches sometimes. And then if it's a stud, it has this last little part that's wrapped around here, whereas a track wouldn't have that. So these are all of our spare stud pieces that we were using. One of the nice things about it, where you got to have this double height, you can see there's this screw. You can kind of screw through the flanges to hold the 2 sections together, whereas you wouldn't be able to do that with wood. You'd have to have another piece on the outside. And then the other thing is these kind of self-drilling screws that you would need. You can see we had some, I think those are 3 inches long. Those were some spares we had, where you kind of can screw through the form stake into the web of the stud. And in this case, these particular pieces are just a little extra long, so they're kind of coming out, and I could put the stake on the flat side. On the other places, we had to have the form stake on this side. In that case, you got to make sure you have screws long enough, at least the thickness of the form stake plus the flange, in order for the self-drilling screw to get into the web. So that's something you would need if you're going to form up using steel. Otherwise, it's really not so different, I suppose. One other thing, you can see we got all these blue tape pieces around here. The reason is, if you look at Your typical stud has these knockouts. You can see in this one, again, this is just a brace piece that we'll take off as we're pouring, but it's got these little knockouts which are nice for running electrical and plumbing through a framed wall. You don't have to go drilling through each one, so that's nice. It's not so nice when you're forming concrete because obviously the concrete would ooze through there. So what we've done is taken this Weathermate flashing and just kind of quickly cut a piece and taped it on there. That flashing is super sticky and it has a little bit of a fiber, so it should hold up just fine against the pressure, the concrete pressure as the weight kind of comes on. I'm not worried about it coming off. So anyway, just had to go and block out each of those little knockouts on these spare studs we had. So all in all, we'll see how it goes. Concrete arrives tomorrow, which hopefully our pour goes smoothly. I think the next part of this video, you'll see us doing that on a time lapse. Alright, well here we are. Concrete pour seems to have gone pretty smoothly. No major problems using these steel forms. No major blowouts, no problems with too much oozage or anything like that. As you can see on the back side of these, where I was talking about having that tape, seems to have held up pretty well. Squished it just a little bit, but no problems there. I suppose the only downside I kind of found was that about that tape, you just want to keep it a little lower than the top edge of the form as we had it, just because it kind of gets in your way when you're coming through there with a trowel or an edger. But yeah, keep it down ½ inch or so. Works a little better. And then the other kind of downside is that these flanges catch the sloppers as you're screeding it. So you can see one there. You can see some over here. So I suppose that makes cleanup a little bit more difficult relative to using wood forms. So it's probably one of the major downsides, but all in all, seems to have worked out. So I think that'll be about it for this video. We'll be back in this area once the generator is set there and the propane tank over there, and maybe have a little bonus video about that setup. So that's it. We'll see you next time.